My son's name is Adam, and his father is Mick. It was a bitterly cold winter night, the kind that makes you want to disappear under a heavy blanket and pretend the world outside doesn't exist. After a long, draining day, I had finally found a moment of peace. Mick was away on another business trip, and Adam was fast asleep in his room, but peace, I would soon learn, can be deceiving. Sometime after midnight, I felt a small hand gently shake my shoulder. My eyes fluttered open, and I found Adam standing at my bedside. The dim glow from the nightstand lamp lit up his face, pale with worry. His lips were pressed tightly together, and his eyes seemed too serious for a 10-year-old. "Mom, I can't sleep," he whispered. I shifted slightly and patted the space beside me. "Come here, sweetheart," I said, my voice still heavy with sleep. But he didn't move. Instead, he stood there frozen, holding a crumpled piece of paper in his trembling hands. I sat up fully, confused and a little alarmed. As he extended the paper toward me, "I found this," he said quietly. I took the paper, my fingers brushing his cold ones as I did. The texture of it creased, soft at the edges felt odd in my hands. I unfolded it slowly, unsure of what I was about to see. The moment my eyes scanned the words, my breath caught in my throat. It was an email. From Mick, but not to me. The message was short, but every sentence felt like a punch to the gut. "I can't stop thinking about last night, the way you made me feel. I wish I could wake up next to you instead of her." I blinked, hoping I had read it wrong, that somehow sleep was playing tricks on my eyes. But no, it was real. The evidence I had suspected but never had, right there on paper. The words bled betrayal. My heart pounded, my hands shook. And for a moment, I forgot Adam was still standing beside me. "Where did you find this?" I asked, barely managing to speak. "In Dad's office," he said. I was looking for my tablet and saw it on his desk. I felt a wave of emotion hit me all at once. Anger, heartbreak, but also protectiveness. Adam didn't fully understand what he had found, but he knew enough to sense that something was wrong. I reached out and pulled him close, wrapping my arms around him. I held him tightly and whispered soothing words, trying to mask the storm swirling inside me. That night, neither of us slept much. I lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts racing. There had been signs: Mick's late-night calls, his sudden business trips, his emotional distance. I had sensed it for months, but buried my doubts under trust and denial. But now, there was no hiding from the truth. As dawn broke, a cold clarity settled in. I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't raise my son in a home built on lies. He deserved better. I deserved better. Over the next 2 days, I went through the motions of routine: making breakfast, packing lunches, responding to emails, but inside, I was preparing for the moment I would confront the truth. I printed the email, folded it neatly, and placed it on the kitchen table. When Mick returned from his trip, Adam was at school. I waited in silence as he walked through the door. He looked at me, then down at the paper on the table. His face changed instantly. He picked it up, read it, and then looked back at me with wide, stunned eyes. "What's this?" he asked, but his voice was hollow. He already knew. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't demand explanations. I simply stood up, met his gaze, and said, "I deserve better." With those words, I walked away, not just from the conversation, but from the version of my life I had clung to for far too long. What followed wasn't easy. Divorce is messy, painful, and full of moments where you question everything. Telling Adam was the hardest part. I chose my words carefully, explaining that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes love changes. I reassured him that we both loved him deeply and always would. He didn't cry or protest, he just nodded and crawled into my lap, silent and still. That night, he clung to me a little tighter than usual. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of paperwork, moving boxes, awkward phone calls, and sleepless nights. There were moments when I felt like I couldn't breathe, when the weight of it all seemed too much. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to shift. There was a strange kind of peace in truth. Even when it hurt, I began to rebuild not just a home, but my sense of self. I took time to rediscover the parts of me that had been quiet for too long. I signed up for a painting class I had always wanted to try. I met up with old friends. I found joy in little things again: morning coffee, evening walks with Adam, the sound of laughter returning to our home. Most importantly, I found strength, not the kind that roars, but the quiet kind that shows up each day, even when it's hard. I learned that choosing yourself, even when it breaks your heart, is an act of courage. Adam adjusted to. He asked questions, and I answered as honestly as I could without burdening him. He started sleeping through the night again. He smiled more. We both did. Looking back, I realized that the night Adam came into my room with that piece of paper was the night everything changed. But it wasn't just the night I discovered Mick's betrayal. It was the night I found my voice, my clarity, my strength. Sometimes the moment that shatters your world is the same one that sets you free. And sometimes, losing someone you thought you couldn't live without is the first step toward finding the person you were always meant to become.